Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of That Tom Clancy Show. I am, of course, your wonderful, wonderful host and ever so humble Mr. That Tom Clancy. Guys, it has been one hell of a week for the show this week. We had some wonderful guests, including today's wonderful guest. We had the hashtag Pitcher Games Awards show on Friday, which saw us at a max of 98 viewers. It was amazing, like all sorts of crazy metadata for it. So, of course, the big thanks goes out to you all, my audience. Without you guys, this show, quite frankly, wouldn't exist. So, thank you very much. And Maryland is definitely in the house, Wildstorm. My flag right here. Can't see it with me every day and every night. So, without further ado, my guest today is a bit of a writer, bit of a journalist. She's covered film, music, TV, and of course, games. She came to my attention because of her work on a video game called Liberte, her entry into last month's hashtag picture game Black Lives Matter. Bits and pixels, may I present Sonya Alexander.
Hi, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. Thanks for being on the show. It's always great to have like cool guests on, and especially, yeah, you're a cool guest. Yeah.
I like to think so.
Yeah, I'd like to think I haven't had an uncool guest on the show so far.
You have not.
And I'm gonna my word to my audience. You have my word. I'm gonna do my very, very best. But then again, just remember, my definition of cool might be different than your definition of cool.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie. A friend of mine is a oceanographic ecologist or yeah, something like that, like a marine ecologist.
Yeah.
That's his title. I want I want to have him on the show. Like, yeah, everybody's gonna be all like, oh, an
Yeah.
ecologist, and I'm gonna be like, yeah.
That'll
So
be
like,
fascinating.
yeah, and he's actually done like some really cool things. Like, he's not just like a scientist. Like,
Right.
he's crowdfunded a campaign to make affordable underwater drones to
Right.
help scientists and other people like get into a field that until he started doing this that was like tens of thousands of dollars.
That is amazing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
definitely have him on
thank
next.
you. Well, my next guest after you is actually I is a video game actor.
Oh,
And then I have
wow.
a couple more developers coming up this week, and I told Liam from Pitcher Game to remind me when the show is over to get back on the hustle to line up more
Nice.
guests.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's like I got to this upcoming Wednesday, and I was like, yeah, I'm good for a little bit, and I didn't realize that it was just this past Friday, and I only had 4 interviews scheduled for the next 7 days.
Oh, no. Well, it's pretty busy.
Yeah, I mean, it feels busy, but it's just like it doesn't feel busy to me, really. And Rebel, it's so good to see you, Steph. Thank you for coming out for the show. Um, yeah, it's every day's been like a new kind of hustle, and it's like trying to find that different new thing, and you know,
It's exciting.
yeah, it is. I did not think that. I mean, I'm not like the show isn't like huge, but I mean, like I have a really cool audience, and they're here like day in and day out for me, and it's like just humbling.
Yeah.
And
And
so
you
it's
have a
just,
great interviewing style.
well, thank you.
You're relaxed.
You're like the second or third person to tell me that this week, so very clearly it must not be a lie.
There it is.
Well, so speaking of interviews, that is precisely why you're here. Um, I gotta ask, and this is a question that you've actually asked interview subject in the past, but it's a question that I know I have my own answer for, but I'm
Okay.
interested in yours.
Okay.
Why are games important?
Oh, games are important, I think, because they combine a few elements. They can be educational. Um, for me, I find when I play games, I think better. My reflexes, mentally and physically, are better. I think the educational aspect is a big element as well as entertaining. I mean, it's like a movie that's interactive.
Yeah,
That's a win-win on all levels. particularly to me, the educational element. Because I think if something is entertaining, particularly for kids, um, it's easier to learn. Something is educational but also entertaining. It's easier for kids to grasp. When I say kids, I mean college and under.
Yeah. Kids for me has come to include even people as old as in their early 30s at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Oh, Zip Up Yo, thank you for the follow. And of course, Fictional Cat, good to see you as always. Um, yeah, because as I was getting ready for this interview, I of course looked beyond Liberte, uh, because you have a body of work,
Mm-hmm.
and like yeah, I'm gonna go for those deep cuts. It's how
Right.
we roll on that Tom Clancy show. You know,
Go for the deep cuts, yes.
exactly. Yeah. Oh, Wildstorm 41, super big kid, dude. Everybody's a kid. Like, let's be honest.
Yes.
Like that old statement of like growing old is inevitable, growing up is optional.
Right.
Yeah, I live by that. Like, I mean, I also have teamed it with the idea that professionalism is an attitude, not a style.
Yes.
You know,
I with that.
yeah, I don't. If were to see me on the street, you would not look at me and think that's a professional person, and I don't care
But see,
because
what does it mean to look professional?
yeah, exactly. It's a generation's old idea that a person needs to have like that fancy haircut and either like clean shaven or a well trimmed bit of facial hair and like nice appropriate clothing and no tattoos, you
Right.
know. And I've got long hair. I've got right now a completely crazy beard. Uh, it was it. I mean, I had the beard before the whole pandemic thing, but now it's just like, I don't have to look good for people,
Control.
you know. And like tattoos are for me are just a huge avenue of self-expression and fashions, or not even. No, they're not fashion. Tattoos are self-expression,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know. And
It's
so
like
it's yeah, but professionalism is, like this,
yeah,
like sitting down with a person and generally being prepared for your interview. I'm sorry for the people who I've not been prepared for in the past, but like I got no excuse. I'm just sorry. Yeah, I was not particularly prepared for an interview I had 2 or 3 weeks ago with Nick Choa. He was another game developer from the pitch game Black Lives Matter,
right.
and he's a good kid. He's a great dude.
Yeah,
Still waiting on my cheer wine from him, but then again, he's still waiting for me to send him the money for it. So
right. Okay. Even exchange.
yeah, exactly. It's like he's like, oh, I'm not sending it to you unless I get postage. I'm like, yeah, postage would be included.
There you go.
But
Right.
yeah,
I think professionalism is more about how you carry yourself.
I do my best on that regard too.
Hmm.
Uh, uh, in my age group, at like the vanguard of the millennial generation, we caught that tail end of the your work speaks to who you are kind of attitude.
Right.
And that's something that very much that I personally abide by. And then I also kind of say that my work should be an extension of myself, which is why I have a goofy, cartoony garage with Super Mario World,
Nice.
in the back with a robot head. So, like,
That's a good expression. Good
yeah.
extension.
Well, I mean, I feel that from personal experience as well as just knowledge of working with or in and around other artists is that their art tends to be an extension of their own persona. So for me, I just kind of wanted to make it
Yes.
really apparent.
Hmm. And then that makes you and your guests more comfortable.
Yeah. Also, I'm pretty self-deprecating on the humor, so I imagine that helps a bit too. So
Yes.
yeah. Well, yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Video games are amazingly important. The only like kind of like fine detail of it that I might disagree with is I feel that they're while visual in nature, that's the connection to movies and television. I'd almost go so far as to say they're more like a novel because they have that level of immersion that you get from a good book.
Some of them do.
Yeah,
Depends
Mass
on the genre.
Effect. Mass Effect is my jam.
Right. I mean, some games are visually stunning and focus more on that than narrative.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? They each genre has something different to offer. That's what I love about it as well.
yeah. It's a just like
There's some that focus more on having logic problems throughout the game. There's some that are just more focused on straight action. There are others that are, totally you have to immerse yourself in the story. I love one of my favorite series is Uncharted.
mhm. Yeah, those
Great
are
writing game.
yeah, they're very good games. And they didn't really like they're very good games, but I wasn't a huge fan personally.
Yeah.
I don't like Naughty Dog's like kind of narrative style, but they're
Okay.
still very good.
Right.
But
Right.
I mean that's just a matter of stylistic, you know, preference.
What would you say your top three favorite games?
Mass Effect 2.
Okay.
Um
Never.
oh god, the Mass Effect entire series. I don't care what people say about 3 or Andromeda. Those games are excellent. Those people are wrong. Uh
Okay. All right.
um like I love that series because it's a kind of a slightly more realistic take on Star Trek in a way.
Okay.
Um,
Check it
b-
out. Okay.
yeah, it has a lot more of it has like kind of the moral complexity of like Deep Space Nine,
Okay.
which is the reason why I love it.
Right.
Um, I'm a huge Destiny fan because I love the amount of mystery that they leave. Like their storytelling is kind of deliberately vague.
Okay.
And I know that that frustrates a lot of people, but at the same time, like I love being able to imagine my own answers and to fill in the cracks.
Yes.
Even if they turn out to be wrong, like it's still just it's just fun.
Yes, it is.
And then God, this is like because I'm pulling from generations of game. I mean, like part of me wants to say Halo because like even though the story was very simple, they told it in a very effective way.
Okay.
Uh, but I think I have to go with Final Fantasy 9.
Nice. Final Fantasy. Yes.
Well, specifically that one because it opens and gives you this like kind of vaudevillian idea of what you're going to be involved in, but
Okay.
very quickly it turns and it becomes this huge story of what it is to be what predestination versus choice. You know, it's crazy.
I have not played that one.
It's my absolute favorite of the series.
Okay. My favorite genre is horror.
Mm,
So I'm a big fan of that. And then I'd say action adventure.
yeah,
And so I love, like, I don't know if you've ever played Amnesia: The Dark Descent.
I played about 15 minutes of it.
Okay.
I was
Great
not
game.
I was not expecting that much horror that
Okay.
quick.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, Horror for me, like probably my favorites would be Dead Space,
Okay.
because I really dig that like Alien and John Carpenter's The Thing vibe of it.
Hmm. Did you play PT?
No, I didn't get the chance to play the PS4 demo,
Okay.
but some very enterprising modder modded Half-Life Alex into PT.
Oh, wow.
So I have it, and when I build up the courage, I have promised some people I would stream the PT VR mod for Half-Life Alex.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I am
It's interesting.
I am not looking forward to that day, but I said I would do it, so
Hmm.
I'm going to do it.
Got to do it. Got to
Yeah.
do it.
Oh, and Half-Life Alex has an excellent storytelling technique as well, but yeah. That is in many ways the kind of like killer app for VR that we've been waiting for forever.
I haven't checked the WGA library here in New York, particularly since things have been closed down, but the one in Los Angeles had a great library of video game scripts.
Oh, nice. Did they print off the full Excel spreadsheets for them, or
No, it just, they had all the Assassin's Creed, Uncharted, The Witcher,
nice?
all the current games, all the series. And some of the writing is truly just amazing. As good, if not better, than a lot of screenplays.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy too, and I mean, especially it's they're doing this on a fair I'm not going to say a small budget, but a small budget compared to some of their equivalents in film. I mean,
Right.
The Witcher is very much akin to like an Avengers film,
Yes.
you know, and the Avengers cost hundreds of millions of dollars, and The Witcher is being made for a fraction of that.
Oh, I know. Have you watched the series?
Oh no, I haven't watched The Witcher yet. There's so much stuff to stream these days. It's so hard to keep up with it
It's too
all.
much. It's
You
too
know,
much.
I mean, like between and then of course Disney Plus comes out, and we have The Mandalorian and
Yes.
all of those old classic Disney movies that like nobody else remembers watching, but like I adore. I'm
Right.
still upset that the I think the island at the top of the world or whatever it is. They haven't put it on there yet, and I want to see
Oh,
it.
shame on them.
But they did. The black hole was there on day one, and I was so happy.
Oh, I didn't see that there. Okay.
Yeah, the black hole. If you haven't seen it, excellent film.
I saw it a bit ago, I think. I haven't. I was so hooked on Mandalorian, I didn't really check out what else was on there.
God, the Mandalorian was so good.
It was. I can't wait for it to return.
I know. I'm so ready.
I mean, it was a perfect writing, music, characters, and I'm not. I like Star Wars, but I'm not a huge fan. But that one, The Mandalorian, sucked me in.
It's like Star Wars is so many different things to everybody.
Yeah.
Like my wife is a huge fan of the Jedi and the mysticism of it.
Yes.
For me, it's like it's the dogfighting, it's the X-wings and the Tie fighters.
Okay.
That's my
Hmm.
part. But like the Mandalorian went back to like the Western roots of it all,
I know. Space
and
West.
yeah, and it's just like, and every episode was like a different, in such a completely different style too, which was even better.
I've also always admired John Favreau's work.
Yep,
It's
dude knows how
and
to make a movie,
he does, and it can be a big budget or an indie. He can do either.
and he
I
kind of
love.
yeah, he got a great crew of directors for that show too.
He did. He did. All of them did an amazing job.
And of course, there was Taika, who is like my new favorite Hollywood person.
Right?
God, he's
Yeah,
so lovable.
very much so.
And I think probably the greatest credit that could ever be given to his work was all of the people complaining about not getting a white actor for Hitler. That was so hilarious. Dude. I'm like, dude, we're talking about like literal Hitler here,
I know.
and you're
I have not seen
complaining.
that. I have not seen that film.
I haven't either. Yeah,
Okay,
it's
it's
hard.
on my list.
But his IG-11 was so wonderful.
Yeah.
And of
Yeah.
course, Korg and Thor Ragnarok.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Hello, I'm Korg. I'm made of rocks.
I try to keep up with whatever he's doing.
Yeah, he's hilarious and a wonderful person. And
Yeah.
real quick, I have to say hi, Ashley and Brian. Welcome to the show. Ashley has done, that I am 100% aware of, an excellent short film about a time traveler.
Oh.
That is part of the like Dust network on YouTube, and I
Okay.
stumbled upon it and I loved it, and I told Brian, and then he put me in touch with her, and I was all like, I really like your short film. Please be on my show. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Right.
Yeah,
Nice.
we're still working on that, Ashley. We gotta sort that out. But yeah, we kind of got
I also,
sidetracked there a lot.
I also found that I love the use of Unreal Engine technology on The Mandalorian.
Uh, the Mandalorian itself was not an inspiration, but Star Wars was an inspiration for the show.
Yeah,
Because when Rogue One, like the year or so after Rogue One came out, they were starting to show off like how they had used Unreal Engine to do like really quick previs for K2.
right.
And when I saw that, I was like,
Hmm.
I can potentially do that.
Right.
And that's kind of the genesis of this show in, like the very rough standpoint of it.
Yes.
So now I just have to figure out how to do this, but with real footage too, because I think it would be kind of hilarious whenever like conventions become a thing again for me to wear like a stupid hat that I could, track easily and then put this over my head in the real footage.
Right. I
Which is,
have to say that I love games, but I also still love film a lot. And I had a project that I put on the back burner. Um, my background is I had trained to be an agent, talent agent for a while, and decided it wasn't for me. Then I started freelancing, and I made New Orleans my second home. And I was trying to put a film together, write and produce it. But for a first project and the timing of it, it just was not. It was a historical piece, primarily in French, with a cast of almost all people of color, American and French or Haitian. And for a first film, it was just too much. So I kind of put it on the back burner. Now I think it might be a time to bring it out again.
yeah. Well, I mean, I watched the hell out of that, but I know unfortunately I'm not a full theater audience. But
Oh. Hey, at least I have one viewer.
yeah, I mean, it's better than none.
There
So,
it is.
and Steph, thank you for the host real quick there. But yeah, it's so that kind of leads very much into like kind of the big scary question I had for you in regards to Liberte, which is why this story in particular? Uh,
Well, New Orleans has been my second home for a long time. And when I put the big budget film project on the back burner, I still live down there occasionally. And I used to jokingly hear people down there refer to New Orleans as a third world country. And I was like, what do they mean? And then I worked there and I was like, oh my God, now I know what they mean. So I started to see the historical ties. When you really get to know the city and the state, you can feel the influence of Haiti. It's quite evident, not in just the architecture and the food, it's deeper than that.
yeah,
So I started working on a book comparing Haiti and Louisiana's cultures, Creole cultures, their ties, the influence of Haiti on New Orleans. And when I was working on that, because I've always loved games, I used to do quality assurance for Jim Henson video games. And someone at the New York Public Library referred me to the NYU Game Center because I thought, you know what, I'd love to do a little game annexed with this book about Haiti and Louisiana.
mm-hmm.
So once I started talking to those guys, I was like, oh my God, the Haitian Revolution, that's it. That's it. Then I had to think about what point of view I wanted to come from, uh, what kind of educational message I wanted to send. So that's how it came to be.
Nice. Yeah,
And
because
only one
it's
video game has really addressed it, Assassin's Creed.
yeah. Oh crap! I'm forgetting the name of the particular expansion slash side story.
Um,
Assassin's
it's,
Creed fans in the audience, please help if you can.
I think it's Liberty. I think it's Assassin's Creed Liberty or something. Let me look at this.
I
Haitian movies.
my Assassin's Creed knowledge is poor.
Freedom Cry. Freedom Cry.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Because like I really have only played Black Flag, and I
Yes.
only got as far as I needed to just be a pirate.
Right. Assassin's
Bec-
Creed is difficult.
yeah, well, I just wanted to be a pirate. Like I
Right.
just wanted the pirate game.
It's fun.
Yeah, it
And
was. I thought that the whaling stuff was kind of weird, but
Yeah,
like it made for a fun distraction. Um, but
I think
yeah,
that's what made it through the furthest of the whole series.
yeah, I would absolutely agree with that as well. Although I would, no, I think I actually made it further in 3, but I played 4 for longer.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, because like 3, I made it all the way up to like the American Revolution and stuff, but like
right,
4, it was all just like the pirates who are members of the Assassin's Order were all like, oh yeah, like blah blah blah, and then I was all like, cool, whatever, and
right.
then I'm gonna go be a pirate now.
hmm
So like, excuse me, like you have your story and it sounds great and all, and good luck with that, but oh, there's some stuff to pillage.
That's that's it. I mean, Liberte. Once I was at NYU's game program for a minute, and when I withdrew from the program, I put the game on the back burner. But over time, there were some other ideas I'd had as screenplays that I thought would actually make better games. So I have a couple others that are one is action adventure historical, the other is a horror story historical. I don't
I'm
want to
just
give too much.
No, that's fine. I'm just imagining like because so much of history, because especially in the American school systems, we're taught a very particular vision
Yeah,
of even our own national background. Uh,
exactly.
that there's so much of it that, from any other perspective, could very easily become a horror story.
Right. Very easily.
Um, because it's something I've talked about with like pretty much every Canadian guest I've had, is that we're not taught that we invaded Canada in the War of 1812,
Yeah. No, it's
but we did.
right. I mean, I grew up in Chicago and I went to an all black Catholic school.
Yo, I love Chicago. Real quick,
Yeah,
just saying,
Chicago's
I
great.
lived there for 7 years. That's like my favorite
Oh,
city.
what part do you live in?
We spent most of that time in Lincoln Park,
Yes. To
so like
me, the
walking
architecture.
distance to the zoo, which was like my thinking spot.
Oh, that
I,
is wonderful.
I miss that zoo.
Yeah, Lincoln Park Zoo is great. So is Brookfield Zoo.
I haven't been to the Brookfield Zoo yet.
What? Oh, it's amazing.
I know, and I have a friend who used to work there, and I should have gone, but it's like you know,
Well,
it's like all the New Yorkers that have never been to like the Statue of Liberty.
right, right. I have to say, and I'm probably biased, I think I like Chicago a little more than New York, that's for sure, because Chicago is always home for me.
I'm gonna completely 100% agree with you,
hmm
because Chicago is definitely my second home. I'm a native Marylander, but
Okay.
Chicago's like that's the first place I've lived outside of Maryland where I felt at home.
Yes.
And and like I've been to New York a bunch of times. I've been to LA, Seattle, like pretty much all the major cities in the US, but like Chicago's just got a special place in my heart that, well, New York's never going to touch.
No, exactly. I would agree with you wholeheartedly. New York is, it's a nice city, but to me, it's, I don't know, it's, there's a heart to Chicago that is just can't be beat.
Yeah, New York is kind of like Texas, in that it's like it's own completely separate place that has its own completely separate identity that
Yes.
feels like it is kind of supplants the idea of being American. It's like you're a New Yorker or a Texan before you're an
Right.
American kind of thing.
I would agree.
Whereas, yeah, but in Chicago, like you're in the heart,
Yes.
you know.
Heart. hmm
And of course, you've
It's,
got some of the best museums in the country.
oh, God. The museums, the architecture, the food.
Oh my God, the food!
The food is amazing.
I miss the food so much.
Yes. Can't be beat. Can't be beat.
Like as a whole, no. On a couple individual things, yes. But
Right.
you know, um, man, that makes one question I'm going to ask you later a lot more difficult. So, uh,
Okay.
don't worry, you'll know it when we get there, but we won't be getting
Okay.
there for a while.
Okay.
Um, yeah. Um, s- uh,
So
yeah.
going to
Sorry.
an all-black Catholic school, the school I went to, we had black studies. So we were taught black history. So when I moved to Los Angeles and went to high school there, where that was not even anywhere in the curriculum, it was just seemed so odd.
That's crazy to me. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, it's crazy to me that as a whole we aren't taught Black history. Um, because it wasn't until last year or the year before that the idea of Juneteenth even became part of my lexicon. And
right.
as soon as it did, I was like, why did I just learn this now? Why haven't I known about this for 30 years?
I know. I
It's
know.
it's insane.
It's part of the reason too that I think people like to go to specialized schools like HBCUs.
Mm-hmm.
They know they'll get the education, that they want.
Yeah.
They wouldn't maybe at a regular university.
Well, it's insane because at every university that should be taught, at every school that
Exactly. It
should
should.
be taught.
Hmm.
It is quite literally a whitewashing of history.
It is. It is. And I went Chicago. I went to all black Catholic school, and then I went to an all black math and science high school. Both schools, cream of the crop.
Yeah.
So when I moved to Los Angeles and went to a school that was by the beach, where people were cutting class, going to Bob's Big Boy, I just could not relate.
Yeah.
It seemed too relaxed. No one really cared about reading or class, or whereas complete opposite in Chicago.
Yeah.
Much better education system.
Okay. Yeah, it is borderline criminal,
Hmm.
the lack of education we receive on a group of people who have been here as long as anyone.
Exactly.
And yeah, it's
And
yeah.
because also there's not only American history, there's history of the diaspora,
Mm-hmm.
there's African history. I mean, all of those kind of blend together with African American history.
Yeah.
So, that's why I think the population as a whole doesn't understand the nuance of black culture. It's very complex
Yeah, I can imagine.
by region. It's there are a lot of things. Just that's why I love living in Louisiana because it talk about complex. Oh my God, you go to a place like Natchitoches, you're like, what year is it here? 1865. No one is speaking English, which is fine, but a very insular society.
Yeah. Well, it's the kind of thing that we only kind of get a surface understanding of, and just by looking at like the differences between, say, regional, like hip hop flavors, regional comedy flavors,
Right,
like the difference between a Richard Pryor and a Donald Glover,
right, right.
and you know, and I'm just, we as in white people, just kind of just go, oh, all of them together, and it's a disservice.
It is a disservice because what I find about the South, I don't know the South well. I pretty much know just Louisiana, a little bit of, I would consider Maryland, Virginia the South.
Oh yeah, we the South.
Yes,
I'm
definitely.
not, but we're
At
South.
least people know each other's history there. Like there's a certain level of fear and distrust that's eliminated because you know each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's missing in places like New York, Los Angeles, because people don't mix. It's very segregated. And they don't know each other's history, and they don't make any attempt to.
Yeah. Whereas in like the Midwest, like everybody knows everybody because
Oh
it
yeah,
gets screw you cold outside.
exactly.
Ju- Just for people who don't know Midwest winters, uh, and this is excluding my Canadian friends because you understand. Um, uh, I went to Alaska with my mom and my stepdad and my wife in 2011, and we were up in Fairbanks, which is one of the coldest places you can go in the U.S. And they were asking everybody, they're like, where are you from? And everybody's all like, like, we're from Florida or North Carolina or California, all these places, right? And they come up to Misty, my wife, and I, and they're like, where are you guys from? We're like, we're from Chicago. And then the Fairbanks person like shudders and they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry for you.
Wow, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, when an Alaskan tells you that your winters are too brutal.
Chicago's it's the wind that makes Chicago's
Oh
winter
God.
the
It's the
hawk.
worst, but at the same time, it's the best.
It is, yes.
Because
Yeah.
like there is just a really just disgusting satisfaction I get from stepping out into the cold and just being like, I will die if I don't go back
I
inside
know.
within like 15 minutes. And I'm just like, this is really awesome.
I mean, there's an indoor culture that develops.
Yeah.
Where's your favorite places to order for delivery?
Mm-hmm. Well,
Long
and
John.
then and like in downtown Chicago, like there's that whole network of pedestrian tunnels.
Right.
And if you know that, you don't have to go outside. Like that's the difference between like a native Chicagoan and somebody who just moved into the area.
Yeah. It most definitely. I
Yeah.
don't miss those winters that much, but I do. I love Chicago. I haven't been there in a while.
As it's like 80 degrees in my office right now, I'm missing that winter a lot at this moment.
Exactly.
Steph says she used to live up in Juneau. Juneau is very nice. I will say, I was in Juneau very briefly. Um, they're very nice.
How is Alaska? Is it beautiful?
It's so varied.
Yeah.
Um, because it's like Fairbanks is roughly in like the middle of the state.
Okay.
Like kind of the middle, maybe a little north of the middle, and it's like all like kind of almost like pine barrensy.
Oh, nice.
So it's like it's just it's like these like spruce I think are the exact type of trees, and they're pretty not stunted, but like sickly, compared to like what we're used to in the lower 48. But
Okay.
then you start getting further south and they're like especially the Juneau area is that like Pacific Northwest rainforest,
Right.
and
Oh,
Anchorage is like pretty much, it's cold because it's Alaska, but it's pretty much like almost like Seattle-ish, only smaller.
okay.
Yeah, it's a really cool place, and uh, moose are freaking huge.
Oh, that's a place I have on my list that I have not been. I definitely would like to go. I love nature.
We did a bus tour through Denali National Park,
Mhm.
and there was a grizzly bear roughly a mile from the bus, and it looked huge from a mile away.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just like, no,
No, no thanks.
I'm cool on my bus here, but I know if that bear wanted in that bus, he was getting in that bus.
Let me tell you, I worked one summer in the Montecito Sequoia Mountains in California,
Mm-hmm.
and we were like 60 miles from the nearest town up in the mountains. So we were starting to discover that black bears were invading the cabins. I was like, okay, that's it. That's my time here because that means they are quite hungry. And the
Mm-hmm.
last thing is to wake up with a big, some black bear hovering over me. No, thank you. No, thanks.
Dude, black bears are jerks.
Yeah. I mean, I've
Um,
seen Grizzly Man.
yeah. I mean, like grizzly bears. I'm not gonna say grizzly bears aren't jerks, but generally they kind of give us a wide berth. We give them a wide berth, and unless you're an idiot, Uh, if you see a grizzly bear, you're doing your best to get away from the grizzly bear.
Exactly.
You know,
Black bears are a little more tenacious. They're a little, yeah.
yeah, well, black bears have just been like just hanging out outside of cities for the last few centuries and like just waiting and learning, and they're like, "We'll learn your ways, humans,
That's right.
and when we're ready, we'll come for you." Um, Steph saying that she lives in a huge mountain range and a waterfall, and they would get sirens every now and then for polar bear alerts.
Oh wow, wow.
Huh?
Exciting.
Yeah, that's fun.
I would love to see a polar bear.
Oh, I'd love to
But
see a polar bear too, but from very far away.
exactly. And not
Possibly from a boat, you know.
right. Right.
Except for the ones in the zoo. The zoo, like there's a couple in the Lincoln Park Zoo. Like those things they're adorable. Their feet are bigger than your head.
Oh.
Like, it's- like they're huge. Like those things, man, they come for you. There's no getting away.
Another love I've developed besides video games is wildlife conservation.
Mm.
I had spent a little time in Vermont. I was working on a book and I fell down the rabbit hole of the big cats. And I was like, wow, this is fascinating, particularly lions. And then when I returned to New York, I was on this list at the UN where I've gone to these amazing events about particularly wildlife crime that are just fascinating. I've developed a deep interest in that. So I have been bi-coastal for a while between LA and New York, checking out graduate school, not really knowing what I wanted to go back for. And video game design, I love, but I don't think I need a degree in it.
No. As somebody with a degree in it, you don't need
Oh,
a degree in it.
right. So I think for me, wildlife conservation combines two of my loves, wildlife and justice.
Yeah.
So that is what I have decided on. I'm working on a book about lions.
For me, it's pangolins.
Oh, pangolins.
I love those little derpy animals, especially the great pangolin of southern Africa because it walks like a T-Rex.
Yes.
I have a pangolin tattoo on the back of my calf.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to be heading up northeast, and I was looking to see if there were any tattoo studios, just kind of like as a joke, where I was going and found one. And the artist there was started following the artist on Instagram, and he drew up this pangolin. He's like, "Hey, I really want to do this." And I'm like, "Hey, I'm going to be up your neck of the woods in like a month. I want it." And he's like, "It's yours." And
Oh,
sure enough, a couple months later, I have the pangolin on the back of my leg.
aren't they the most trafficked animal?
Yes, it's horrible. Like if you guys in chat haven't seen a pangolin before, like go Google them. They are adorable and wonderful, and unfortunately, they are one of the most trafficked animals in the world because of traditional remedies.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking because they're great. There's also a really cool Netflix documentary about this lady in South Africa that like tries to nurse them back to health, like ones that are caught or rescued from poachers.
Yeah.
And just so it's really cool and interesting stuff.
What's the name of that one?
I don't remember, which is the unfortunate thing.
I'll find it.
Yeah, because like there's like one documentary on Netflix that I absolutely remember the name of, and it's The Last Breath, and it's just because I think saturation diving is really cool.
Okay.
And it's about a dude who if you're like scared of deep water stuff, don't watch it. But like I got my scuba certification in 2011, so like, and I've always been fascinated with undersea stuff. So like for me, it's a huge thing. And I don't want to spoil anything, but it's really cool.
See, I love water sports, but one thing that I have a little bit of a phobia about that.
Yeah.
Deep sea
Um,
dive. You, no thank you.
I can understand that. I can understand that. I don't get it, but I understand it.
I mean,
Uh,
what was that movie, Open Water? Did you see that film?
no, I haven't watched that one. I
It's
know, yeah, I know of it. Yeah.
to me that was like, oh my God, the worst. Couple they go on their honeymoon and go deep
Jo-
sea dive with some other couples, and the guide leaves him.
Well,
So
that
there's
is very poor planning on the guide's part.
yeah, horrible planning.
Yeah.
It got stuck out there and eaten by sharks.
Yeah, that's the part that likely wouldn't happen, but
Yeah,
I mean,
I,
all of it very likely wouldn't happen, but it's a movie.
true
Movies.
story. True
Oh,
story.
well, then.
Actually, I had read
Well,
that the tour guide was late to meet his mistress, so he rushed off and didn't do a correct head count. Lovely. Hopefully, he was fired.
I mean, hopefully he also saw some form of criminal prosecution.
Exactly. Oh, and in the movie, they had them out there for 2 days. Apparently, they only lasted one.
Hmm.
So that kind of thing. Yeah, no, thank you. I'll pass on deep sea diving for right now. I may overcome that fear one day, but for right now, no. I'm cool
Yeah.
swimming. Or.
That said, there is something really kind of cool looking down and not being able to see the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I got my certification done in a quarry in Kankakee,
Oh,
and it was like 200 or 300 feet at the bottom, and so we're out over the deepest part, and we're 30, 40 feet underneath the surface, and it's just an abyss.
oh.
And I was
See,
just like, this is really cool. If I didn't understand the science of exactly how I'm able to stay here, I'd freak out.
so have you encountered any interesting creatures? Well,
No. Um
oh,
no, I've only done like freshwater diving for the most part. And
okay.
I've done one saltwater dive, but it was in like the Florida winter, so like nothing was around because the water was too cold.
Okay. Okay. So,
Yeah. I
let's see.
I haven't gone diving anywhere near as much as I would like to. Maybe someday later in life I'd like to pursue a technical certification as well. Um,
At this last UN event I went to, I met this filmmaker who his first film he did, he had to go underwater, cageless with sharks.
mhm.
I was like, you were okay. You're a brave soul.
Nah. No, I mean,
To
like, yeah, there's a level of bravery there, but like, I'm sure he was with other people who knew what was up.
exactly.
Yeah, it's having worked with birds of prey before in the past, it's like if you understand the predator fairly well,
Right.
you know what to look for, you know how to, you know what to avoid doing. You know, um,
Exactly.
thankfully in my instance, the worst I was looking at was like deep tissue damage, but still.
Oh, yeah. Still,
Oh man, I've got stories for that, which I will save for a different episode of the show.
I
Um,
I love animals. I don't know what it is about underwater creatures where I'm like, no thanks. I don't know what I do if I encounter an octopus.
here's exactly why they're weird. Because they're weird. They don't follow any of the rules that we're used to in terms of like what animals are supposed to look like, how they're
Exactly.
supposed to move.
Exactly.
Like we're especially, being a land-based species, we're used to everything happening in the same two-dimensional plane.
Right.
We don't have to look up or down to avoid predators. They're coming
Exactly.
from straight ahead or straight behind, one of those
Exactly.
two places.
Exactly. They
You
just
know,
don't.
yeah,
They don't fit any of those categories.
yeah, no. Whereas a shark could come from above, below, behind, the left, the right, wherever.
Right.
You know, and then an octopus. Well, you didn't know that you were standing on it to begin with.
Oh, see, no, thank you.
Oh man, those things are crazy cool though.
I,
Man,
Another animal I've gained an affinity for is the sea otter.
I as the proud parent of 4 ferrets, I fully
Oh,
understand.
nice. Okay.
They're basically like little teeny otters that don't like swimming.
Right, right. You have four?
Yep.
What are their names?
Jack, Jill, Peppermint, and Bones.
Oh, nice. And how
Hmm.
long do you?
We've had Bones now. We're his third set of parents.
Okay.
We've had him for 5 or 6 years at this point.
Okay.
Five. Yeah, 5 years. Um, he is quite old, and he has. We like to joke with him that he's not wearing any pants, but he's pretty much lost all of the hair from like about his like
Oh,
waist down.
that's adorable.
So, but he's an old man, so he doesn't have to wear his pants. Uh,
Right.
you know. And then Pepper, we originally adopted him. He had a brother Spock, but Spock passed away last summer. Unfortunately, he had like 8 billion cancers at once,
Oh,
and he held on very for he held on real long, and he was with us when he passed. So it still sucked, but at least he was home with his family.
why
Um,
ferrets?
I don't know. My wife
Oh,
likes him.
okay.
Like we also have cats too, but
Oh,
you know, we're both definitely cat people. She warmed me up to ferrets. Like I've always like what's the word I'm looking for here? Theoretically enjoyed ferrets.
okay.
I think they're adorable. I don't really like everybody goes, "Oh, they smell." Well, so do cats if you don't
Right.
clean up after them.
Exactly.
Um, but otherwise, yeah, they're musky. They're musky,
What
Uh,
does your wife? What is your? What's her profession?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said, what does your wife do?
Oh, she's the doctor of the family.
Nice.
She's a therapist. She has her PsyD, and she works as a therapist. Yeah,
Excellent. Okay.
so she gets to work from home. She's real space, like right over there from me.
Oh,
I have soundproofing up, so her clients don't wonder why there's a loud robot man yelling.
right. Lovely.
Well, they don't know I'm a robot man. If they know I'm a robot man while they're doing that, then you guys shouldn't be in here watching a stream. You should be focusing on your therapy. But I'm pretty sure none of you guys are over there. So,
I
um,
tell you one thing I can't wait for after this pandemic shutdown is to go to a movie theater.
you know, I'm not opposed, but I'm kind of like that's one thing I'm kind of wary of. Um, like I don't like honestly the thing I miss the most is like movie theaters would be great and all, but like man, I miss giving people high fives.
Right.
Like
right.
I can't everybody kind of like laughs when I say that, but like high fives are like handshakes in a way to me. Like dude, handshakes are
Yeah.
great, but like a high five is like if a handshake were fun,
Right. Right.
you know.
Someone shake my hand recently, and I was like, "Ooh, no, no."
No. You know,
Yeah.
like but yeah, that and like maybe giving somebody who isn't my wife a hug would be great.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she's a great hug. Like don't get
Okay.
me wrong.
yeah.
Excellent hug. But like there are other hugs I would like to have as well.
Right.
Steph agrees with me. She misses hugs. She's a hugger. Uh yeah, I know, right? My mother-in-law misses hugging too. Like every time we see her, she's always like, because they live not too far from us, so we go and we visit them, and we do like socially distanced visits. You
Right.
know, because it's nice to see somebody else.
Yes.
And if you do it responsibly, you can do it.
hmm
So, but yeah, we miss hugs, or I miss hugs.
I, I'm sure that by August, September, we can all get back to hugging.
Here's hoping.
I know. What you said you're in Milwaukee. What were the numbers like in Wisconsin?
I haven't been paying attention to the numbers outside of just the national context.
Okay.
Like I've looked once or twice at the state numbers, but I haven't been keeping track of it on the more granular scale.
Okay.
Maybe I should, but I haven't been.
I'd be curious what it's like in Wisconsin. Must not be too high. I haven't seen them, really mentioned or on the radar, like
No,
Arizona and Florida.
got Florida.
Oh, yeah, they've been a little out of control.
Yeah, Florida needs to chill, man. I lived in Florida for 2 years, and trust me, Florida needs to chill.
What is Florida like? I don't know why I have never had a desire to go there. I've been to the airport in Miami on the way to Jamaica before. That's it.
Well, you have like southern Florida, which we'll consider everything that isn't the panhandle.
Okay.
And that is a weird area made of people who aren't actually from Florida.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And then you have the panhandle, which is like very much the deep south. And then
Okay.
you have pockets of the deep south throughout the rest of Florida as well. I've driven through it on several occasions and driven through it in different ways on several occasions. And like if like I lived outside of Tampa, and if you took like the interstates to travel through the state, you could be 522 in Wisconsin. We're doing good. Thank you,
Oh,
Steph. Yesterday, yeah. I mean, yeah. Wisconsin, we're pretty good. Like, also, I do wear my mask because
okay.
I don't want to get sick for one, but if I am an asymptomatic carrier, I don't want to spread it to anybody else.
Right. Exactly.
So, yeah. Um, but yeah, Florida's
So,
weird.
yeah, it seems like it's by region varies. Like Miami seems like it's probably the hippest place in Florida.
Yeah, I would say that. Like, I would say that as Chroma Snare in chat, hi Chroma, says Q Bugs Bunny cutting off Florida meme. If we were to do such a thing, I would say that Tampa, Miami, and the theme parks would be worth holding on to.
Okay. And that's that.
Yeah, I mean, like I have a big affinity for the theme parks,
Hmm.
especially Halloween Horror Nights at Universal. I mean, that's like the best
Right.
thing,
Yeah.
you know. But I mean, I guess we could just do Hollywood quality, haunted houses anywhere. So
Exactly. What about the Florida Keys? Have you been
they're
there on some?
nice.
Yeah.
They're nice. I did go. I've been to Key West once on a cruise, and Key Largo.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh, we went for a wedding anniversary to Key Largo and had a delicious pizza.
Oh, beautiful.
I think
Isn't
that
that
was.
Hemingway's old stomping grounds?
I'm sorry.
Isn't that Hemingway's old stomping grounds,
Uh,
Florida Keys?
yes, Key West in particular.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
his house down there is a tourist attraction with a bunch of cats.
Oh, have you been?
No, at the time I was down there, I did not care for Hemingway, and to be completely honest, I haven't read any Hemingway, and I don't know that I ever will.
Oh my God.
Look,
Why?
man, why I have no desire to read Hemingway.
Okay.
Like there's all sorts of new books coming out to read.
This is true, but he was an amazing writer.
I have no doubt, but people also told me that Frank Herbert was great, and while I fully acknowledge that Dune is an excellent book, I thoroughly hated it.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's all a matter of personal preference and taste.
This is true.
So like my personal favorite right now is Martha Wells, who writes the Murderbot series of books.
Oh no. Okay.
And I got to reach out to her. I want to get her on this show. I want to talk to her about that, about the Murderbot. And it's this a great sci-fi series about a robot with like social anxiety.
Mm. Okay.
It starts as a series of novellas. If you have the opportunity to like get a copy from your library, the first book is called All Systems Red. And
Okay.
if you don't love the character in the first two paragraphs, you're not going to like the series.
Okay.
But
Is
I
it
read the
the same?
first I like cracked up at the first paragraph. Like it's not a comedy, but like I cracked up because it like the book got me,
Okay.
and I was like, I'm gonna love this book.
I'll check it out. I have to say, like you said, preference. Sci-fi is probably, as far as novels, my least favorite to read.
Yeah, I can understand that.
I like a good thriller. I love a good historical drama.
Well, the fun thing about the original four novellas is that each one is kind of like a different style. So they're all science fiction, but like
Okay.
the first one is like kind of like the stereotypical adventure.
Okay.
And then the second one like has a touch of buddy cop to it.
Okay.
And then the third one's got like a touch of horror.
Oh, okay.
And the fourth one is like a spy thriller.
Okay.
So it's really awesome. Like especially because in the buddy cop one, they're not really buddies.
Mm.
Well, no,
Okay.
that's incorrect. Murderbot does not like the buddy, but the buddy likes Murderbot,
All right.
and it's just so fun. So I
Have you
love
ever
it.
read a? I will definitely check that out. Then, have you ever read a book called White Teeth?
No, I have not.
Check it out. Amazing writing. Zadie Smith. She wrote it when she was like 21, 22, and it's about these two couples in London.
Was that the same writer who wrote The Power? Because that name is familiar to me.
She's written a few books. This one was her first one. She's written another one called Beauty, On Beauty.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I know she has a current one out. Power may be the name of it, but White Teeth is well worth a read.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Interesting characters.
Well, we started talking about games, went to movies, went back to games, went to ecology, and
And
now
now
we're talking
novels.
books.
But you said that you liked it a lot. You feel a lot of games are like novels.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I mean, honestly, I'm a pan nerd.
Okay.
So like I read usually about 15 to 25 books a year. Uh I love movies, television, music. I'm like kind of whatever with. I like what I like and I listen to stuff. Uh,
Right.
and then like games, I don't get to play as many of them as I would like. Like honestly, this week I haven't touched a video with the exception of Pokemon Go, but like for the most part I don't really count that.
I know.
Like it's a game, but I wasn't doing like the gamey parts of it. So,
I haven't had any time to play anything in a while. The last one I played was Levels of Fear.
mm-hmm.
It's a nice horror game. Your uh, third person perspective of this painter who his house symbolizes his mind. So you have to complete the painting he's finishing, but there's a story in that. It's pretty
Nice.
well done. The soundtrack was good too.
Yeah, I've just been playing Destiny for the most part. Although
Okay.
the last game that I played start to finish was Jedi Fallen Order, which
Ooh.
was amazing.
Okay. Make another.
It
That's
was
on my list.
so good. Like that was like it was like if Star Wars Rebels was a game.
Ooh. Okay.
Is a pretty good way to explain it.
Okay.
But it's
I'll,
it's really solid. And like that and Star Wars Rebels have convinced me that the perfect way to train a Jedi is to throw them and their master on like the equivalent of the Millennium Falcon and just
right.
have them just roll around the galaxy for a while, because the Jedi as the protector of everyone needs to gain a perspective on the day-to-day life of everyone.
Mhm.
Otherwise, like, who are they protecting? The status quo. And we saw how that turned out.
Right. I'll put
So,
that on my list as something to play. Are you looking forward to Cyberpunk 2077?
I kind of am.
Yeah.
I really like the idea of it. And I want to know, like, I hope that I can play a game like that the way I would want to play it. Like, I look at like cyberpunk kind of stuff, and I want to be like to go all William Gibson here. I want to be Case, I want to be the dude sitting at the computer, cracking into systems and stuff, you
Right.
know. And I feel I'm going to be able to do some of that, which I think is really cool. Um, I don't want to like go in like all Molly Millions and just like carving up the place and all that, which is also still fun, and I appreciate that they're going to give people all those various perspectives. But yeah, I'll probably pick it up. I don't know if I'll ever finish it. I might just get lost somewhere in Night City, and you know
Right. I miss conferences too. I
God,
enjoyed each time I went to E3. I enjoyed it.
I haven't been to a big conference or anything since 2015.
Okay. And
So
then what was that?
that was E3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I went 2015, hung out with a couple friends of mine in the YouTube community, and uh, uh, hung out with the people on the division team, and that was pretty much
Oh,
it.
nice. Hmm.
Oh, and got to sneak in for one of the behind closed doors Destiny things too, because I have like a roundabout connection to Bungie. So
Okay.
yeah,
It was. I always like the energy of that conference.
yeah, it's pretty fun. I also it's like a professional PAX.
Yes. Oh, I've never been to PAX.
Um, PAX is weird.
Okay.
Like not necessarily in a bad way, but it's kind of weird.
All right. Weird how?
Um, like it's just because it's the energy is very eclectic in that they PAX draws a much broader crowd than just
Okay.
video game enthusiasts,
Okay.
because you've got board gamers, you've got cosplayers, you've got pro esports gamers. It's got like, and then of course it has a much bigger YouTube and Twitch presence because it's easier to get into
Right.
for YouTubers and streamers of all sizes.
Hmm.
um so it has a completely separate energy, uh and it's not bad, it's just different,
Okay.
whereas like E3 has like that level of exclusivity, or at least it used to,
Right.
with it being like solely the industry and industry adjacent stuff.
Yeah.
Not that it was particularly difficult to get into E3 if you had like kind of half a mind. And left hand,
Right.
don't die on me now. No, my left hand is gone.
Oh, what?
I forgot to charge the battery. So I'll
Uh-oh.
have to finish this one handed.
Uh-oh. Okay. You can do it.
I'm pretty sure I can. So,
Have you ever played Games for Change?
no, I haven't.
That's one worth checking out. It's been nice to see them really grow.
Nice. Yeah, I'm trying to get more involved. Like one of the big ones for me that I would like to start getting a chance to go to and see is Games Done Quick.
Hmm.
Because I really love their, like, I'm not a speedrunner, but I love watching it.
Right.
And I really, really, really like the I like the idea of like, hey, the donation incentives. And like I'm really sad we're not going to get a Summer Games Done Quick, which would be right about now, because the summer they play for Doctors Without Borders, and the big one in January, usually around New Year's, is for the Prevent Cancer Foundation. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then they do smaller events through the year to help other smaller charities out too. So it's like I really enjoy those shows.
I have to say, I just recently, in the last few years, started writing about games, and I like it because it's a challenge. I feel like I'm always learning something. Like I'm a gamer, but I'm not a hardcore gamer, so there's always something new to learn.
Yeah.
Like I'm not all that familiar with the culture like I am with film culture or music culture. So it's a nice challenge.
Yeah. Gamer culture needs some work
Yeah.
because I mean, it has been a boys' club for
A
50
lot.
years,
Yeah.
and like I think it has always been funny to me from the perspective, funny in that like ironic sense of funny to
Hmm.
me, how for 50 years guys have said, oh, I wish girls would play games, but then the moment they do, it's just like instantly circle the wagons.
Right.
What are you doing here? Who
Exactly.
scored the original Super Mario Brothers? You learned that from a boyfriend, like that kind of thing. And I'm just like, dude, like we should be welcoming people. Like, it's like we are made better by having different people here. And it's what I something I kind of alluded to at the Pitch Your Game Awards on Friday, which is that with a broader base of gamers and developers, we're going to see games and stories that we've never seen before.
Exactly.
And our lives are made better through diversity.
Yes.
You know, I might not, if you tell me a story, I'm going to find something in your story that I can relate to. And by
Right.
having that, that gives me an instant connection with you that I didn't
Ex-
previously have.
exactly.
And
That's
yeah,
life.
yeah, and that's one of the reasons why, especially when Liam started the Black Lives Matter version of Pitch Your Game, I was like, yo, I'm getting in touch with as many people as I can.
Right.
Because I mean, you were before the show. We were talking about previous episodes, and you had watched the one I had done with Kingston from Nigeria,
Right.
and like I knew absolutely nothing about Nigeria.
Okay.
Like I mean, like next to nothing.
Right.
And especially nothing about what game development was like down there. And for me, it was an excellent opportunity, and I learned a lot from him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was also too, he's a really cool dude.
Yeah.
you know and then like Steph mentions in chat, we met because of games, and that's true too. It's like, you know my life has been made so much more complete because of games.
I think the picture game idea is genius.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I think Liam would agree with you, but he might be slightly biased. Uh,
Right.
he behind closed doors, which I guess I'm saying on the record now, he has been just so floored with how popular it's grown, or like how big it's grown, because like the first month it was very big, and they received like a whole heap of entrants and stuff, and then this past month they said, Liam told me they got somewhere in the neighborhood of about 800 pitches.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. So I mean, they got so many. They reached out to me and they were like, "Hey, are you doing an awards show?" And I was like, "Okay." So
Excellent. I have to go back and look at the material from that.
yeah, well,
Yes.
I will be getting caught up with uploading pretty much everything from this previous week onto YouTube tonight at some point.
Okay.
Um, because like this, like when Liam asked me to do, asked me to do the Uh, no, most I'm leaving. What? I don't. Dang it, fictional cat. Come on, man. I'm talking with a graphic designer right now about
Okay.
branding and stuff for the channel. Okay. I had to organize an award show this week. I'm not saying that as an excuse. That's an explanation. I own that I need to have all that stuff. Um, I don't make excuses. I make explanations. I own when I screw up. Uh,
That's it.
but he asked me to do this award show, and I was like, sure. I'm kidding. I like your show and I like your guests. I just want to be dramatic. You succeeded.
Exactly.
And I like having you here. Um, yeah, no, Fictional Cat is, yeah. Man, like I look through this chat and I see some people, and it's like, like Chroma and Fictional Cat came because I had, like, I'm friends with a virtual reality artist that
Hmm.
we're all in the same community for, and they've been coming back ever since. So it's like really nice.
That's
um and like Wildstorm from earlier, if you're still here, hey buddy, he came because the author I had on a couple weeks ago also does work in like tabletop RPGs and card games,
okay.
and he played card games that Matt had worked on, and so it's just it's like cool the way you build these communities. I don't
Yeah.
understand it, but
It's amazing.
yeah, like dudes, when I get like other, like, oh man, like I can't wait to get just see where this all goes.
Oh yeah. I know. I was thinking that when I was watching your podcast because this is relatively new, right? How long have you had the show?
Since May.
Yeah.
And it's the idea of doing like multiple a week is really kind of a June thing.
Okay.
So yeah, just
How
growing.
many are you gonna do?
I'm sorry,
How many a week are you gonna
I don't know, as many as I can get. No.
have?
The most I've done in a week so far has been 4.
Okay.
uh, because I mean, as you've seen with us, it's not always the easiest to find a date that's going to work, and then sometimes things change at the last minute, and you know, um, yeah. So I mean, like I started before you contacted me last week to reschedule to today. I only had, 3 shows planned for this week, but then we rescheduled you to today, and then I had the award show come in, and so what started out as 4 shows turned into 5, or started out at 3 shows became 5 shows.
Okay.
So, I'm just kind of
Nash,
playing it all by ear.
what did you think of Liberte? What did you think of the game?
I think it's a very interesting idea.
Okay.
Especially because it's going back to what we were saying about the like lack of Black history being taught. I think that it gives a safe way to introduce people to a concept which they weren't aware of to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not a just like in your face kind of like this is how things were and like kind of thing. It's you make it this personal thing.
Yeah.
The story treatment you have for it of starting it very small. Just grinding, grounding it in
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
And also like you had you won main point, like a huge amount of points with me for having the main character as a coffee farmer. So
Okay.
I love me some coffee.
So do I.
Because like I don't just like love coffee, like I
Me too.
love coffee.
Me too. I actually was in the midst of starting a blog. Whenever I have any extra time, I'm gonna add to it. I love coffee. There's an artistry to coffee.
Yeah. I do technically work at Starbucks, though I am a uh, on furlough at the moment.
Okay.
But I am actually a coffee master, which means that I read a few more PowerPoints than everyone else, but I actually paid attention to my PowerPoints.
Nice.
My favorite coffees are Guatemalan generally, and otherwise Kenyan or Rwandan.
Okay. I like um, a good Mexican bean. They have a
Hmm.
nice flavor, and I love Jamaica Blue Mountain.
Like I like Jamaican Blue Mountain, but I think it is just personally for my palate. I think it's kind of overhyped.
Hmm.
Like it's very good,
Yeah.
but I think too, it's like I don't prefer, like I don't like the conditions. I guess the conditions of the Blue Mountain don't add a particular flavor to the bean that I like over, say, a Kenyan coffee.
Right.
Like there's just something about like that African earth that just
Yes.
like just
Hmm.
infuses it with just like for me because I like a high acidity coffee too, and like African coffees like just own an acidity.
They do. Yeah.
And so it's like for me it's just like this is what coffee's supposed to be.
Okay.
So, but and yeah,
Have you ever been to Phil's Coffee?
no.
Phil's with a Z. They
Where
have
is that?
they have some in Los Angeles. They have
Okay.
some in DC. I think they may have a couple in Chicago or Boston. But they have what they call coffee artists. Each cup is made individually.
Ooh,
They have about 6 different beans from each, 6 light roast, 6 dark roast, 6 medium that you can choose from. They
that
mix it.
sounds amazing.
It is amazing. It's I discovered them in DC, and then when I saw they were in Los Angeles, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's always nice when you find something somewhere that you associate with like a previous home or something, and you're all like, I didn't think this was here.
Exactly. LA is an odd town, but it does have a nice coffee culture.
That's good to know.
It's not like Starbucks is on every corner.
Well, I mean, Starbucks is on every corner, but
Not like in New York. New York is
no.
like, oh, there's Starbucks. They have some competition in LA. They have Coffee Bean, Pete's, then a bunch of indie places.
Yeah.
Because people like to hang out in LA.
Yeah.
So coffee shops are big. In New York, they want to get you out quickly.
Yeah.
Buy your coffee and go. They have the music blaring everywhere. It's not comfortable.
Well, at my Starbucks, we turn down the music.
Nice.
But then again, too, right now at my Starbucks, we also don't let people have a seat.
Exactly. More
Ah,
now.
man, this has been a ridiculously fun conversation.
It has. I have thoroughly enjoyed it.
Oh, I'm glad. But unfortunately, I do think
It's come
it's
to
time
an
for the 5 questions.
end. Uh-oh.
Now, for
Okay.
everyone at home and for you, the 5 questions are 5 random questions that I have prepared ahead of time that have absolutely nothing to do with the interview thus far. Although, strangely, these actually might because our conversation was, well, far and abroad. Uh, so, question number 1. If you could visit one planet or moon in the solar system, which would it be?
Phew. Oh, it's interesting. I think probably Saturn.
It is a pretty planet. It is like the face of the solar system.
Exactly. So I think right now, just without any deep thought, Saturn would be my first pick.
Also, very far away from all the craziness happening here. It'd be really, really kind of nice to just,
Exactly.
yeah. Or the dark side of the moon would be a good one too, because you'd still be close enough to get back if something crazy happened, but completely out of human contact.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good answer. Yes.
Question number 2. Is the park really that central?
You know what? I've been in Central Park maybe 3 times total in the span. I've been coming to New York off and on since 2002. So it may not be that central.
Okay, I just thought that'd be a fun question. I've only been there
Sure.
about that many times myself.
I don't. There's so many little pockets to it. You know, New York is interesting. There's so many little things that you can discover by word of mouth. Like
Yeah,
someone told me recently, oh, I took the ferry over to such and such island, and it's like a little, nature getaway. And I was like, okay, you wouldn't know about that unless someone told you about it.
yeah.
So Central Park is, I think, central for those who want to use it.
All right. Question number 3. Well, yeah, okay. And come on, 3. Whatever. Number 3. Uh, what is the fastest way to get to Coney Island?
Oh my God. Oh, whew, I've been there twice,
That's 2 more times than me.
and both which review concerts. One was Hall and Oates, which was amazing, and the other was Neil Sedaka, which was also amazing. But I don't remember which train. I think it's the one of the yellow trains, the N or the R that goes straight there.
Okay.
Definitely the train, not the bus. Yeah, you're
Okay.
right.
Yeah, trains are much faster than buses.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 4. 4. There we go. What is your dream pet?
I'd say probably the first pet I had growing up. I'd love to have another Alaskan Malamute.
All right. And then question number 5. The question that we kind of alluded to a little bit earlier. New York or Chicago style?
Oh, come on. Chicago, all the way.
All right. I also would have accepted yes.
Okay.
Uh,
Right.
because as a person from a place that has no distinct style of pizza, all pizza is great.
Right. Right.
So that said, though, I have found the best New York style pizza is in New Jersey.
In New Jersey, where?
Uh, pretty much anywhere. No.
Okay. Okay.
Ocean City, New Jersey has a lot of excellent pizza places. Everywhere I've ever been in South Jersey was good. I don't think I've ever actually had pizza in North Jersey. Sorry, North Jersey folk. But yeah.
I mean, I've had some good pizza here, but nothing outstanding.
Yeah, Chicago does have really good pizza.
Yes. Yeah.
And not just Chicago style pizza. Like they're just,
Exactly.
but Chicago's a food town. So,
For me, the top three foods in Chicago are Chinese,
Mm-hmm.
Italian,
Mm-hmm.
and Seoul.
I have not had the Italian or Seoul in Chicago, but the
Oh my,
Chinese is excellent.
yes.
Uh, we used to live by an amazing Indian place.
Okay.
And also, whatchamacallit, there was this Korean Vietnamese fusion place in Lincoln Park called Del Sol.
Wow.
That was so good. They made the best banh mi.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah,
food. Also, great Greek food.
yeah. I miss good Mexican food. Yeah, everybody misses good Mexican food.
You know, that is one of my least favorite foods.
Okay,
That
everybody but Sonya misses good Mexican food.
and Japanese food. Those are my two least favorite.
Uh, I I can't say that I've had much Japanese other than sushi, but I love sushi.
Ugh, no, thank you. And forget
Um,
sushi. Oh,
yeah,
I
you
like
know,
Mexican food, but for me, it's like soul food. It's every once in a while I can have it. That's it. It's too heavy.
yeah. I
It's
do wish
delicious.
that I do wish we had like a poutine culture down here, like
Oh,
Canada does.
oh my God. Yeah, that's poutine is amazing.
I made a southern poutine once, so I made
Okay.
like a biscuit gravy,
Oh,
and so I did it with French fries, and then sausage patty and some scrambled eggs, and then the gravy on top. So it was like a breakfast poutine.
holy smokes.
Yeah, no, it
That's,
was great.
have you been to New Orleans?
Twice.
Okay.
I find New Orleans to be delicious.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to find bad food there. It's all pretty amazing.
Yeah, we were the last time I was there was for the Ravens 49ers Super Bowl.
Okay. Have you ever gone
Um,
to Jazz Fest?
I'm sorry?
Have you ever gone for Jazz Fest?
No, I have not.
Mark that, well, whenever we can all attend concerts again, that's one to put on your list. It's not just jazz, they have all kind of artists there. It's at the racetrack.
Okay.
Amazing food. Who did I see there? I saw Jeff Beck and Robert Plant. But it's an interesting mixture of locals and tourists,
Nice.
which you won't see at Mardi Gras. Most locals leave.
Yeah, I would too.
Mm-hmm.
I have no
Unless,
desire to go to Giant Drunken Fest.
yeah, no, thank you. No, thank
I
you.
went to college already. I've done that.
Exactly. That was enough. I think I stayed once during Mardi Gras and went to one of the parades. And I was like, okay, it's more interesting in the country region because they have a serious tradition around it. You
Yeah.
still have the balls and things like that. I remember I went to a Christmas bonfire at a plantation house. It was the last Creole architecture house, and it was very interesting because
Hmm.
it had it. In some ways, Louisiana is stuck in time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
There's
yeah.
actually parts of Quebec, or not Quebec, Montreal specifically, like in the old city there, that remind me a lot of New Orleans.
Okay.
Um, like it's just like the thinner kind of like side streets. The
Yeah.
architecture was decidedly a little bit more like anglicized, but at the
Okay.
same time, it's just like it had that like that closeness that you get in New Orleans.
Oh, you said Quebec or Montreal?
Montreal.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and it had that same kind of feel to it, like cobblestone. It just
Yeah.
yeah, you felt like you went back in time.
Hmm.
So, which
I
I was
had
not expecting in Canada.
this horror video game I'm working on uh, is based on a piece of Louisiana folklore, and I'm having so much fun digging into it. Someone in Los Angeles had just randomly told me this piece of folklore because I told them it. Every time I go down there, I have something weird happen to me. Spooky. Every time I go down there. So they're like, "Oh, have you heard of this piece of folklore?" And I was like, "No, I have not." So there's only been one thing written about it. I was like, "Great, I can read." built my whole universe, create my own universe around this folklore.
I'm now
So
all trying to run through everything I know about, like, Louisiana folklore,
this,
which is admittedly not too much, but there's a
here,
whole lot of folklore to keep in my head.
I'll leave you with a spooky story. I'll tell you what happened to me once when I went to New Orleans. So at the time, I was temping in Los Angeles at Saban Entertainment.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for Power Rangers.
Yes, it was not fun. I'll just leave it at that.
Oh, I have no doubt in my mind. But I'm still
Yes,
saying thank you.
right. So at the time, I had an assistant in New Orleans when I was trying to put this film together, and I was like, Charles, if I never see another Power Ranger again, it'll be too soon. He's like, hurry up and get back down here. So I got back down there, and I wanted to see one of the cemeteries. Those are popular down there with the big tombs. And I wanted to go to Marie Laveau's grave. Do you know who Marie Laveau is?
I'm drawing some voodoo, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
It
right.
was there in the 1800s. And
Yeah,
people
we
go to
went
church.
to the Voodoo Museum while we were down there once.
Okay.
It was very small, but very interesting.
Okay.
That's,
Well,
yep, that's where the
people
name
use
is from.
her tomb to leave flowers or mark crosses on her tomb. So we go there, and it's probably noon, and there's this weird guy standing by the tomb. He had these very interesting eyes, and he looked at me and he kind of laughed a little bit, and I was like, okay, do I know you? And he reached in his pocket and he pulled out a pink Power Ranger and put it on the tomb. My assistant was like, we are out of here. I was like, I'm right behind you.
Yeah, I think I might have also been like, this is weird.
Yes, let's go. But I love New Orleans because it's so complex and spooky and has so much history.
Yeah.
I'm wishing I had bought some property pre-Katrina.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
now, it's ridiculously priced down there now.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry, it's just one of those things where I'm just like, yeah, we failed Katrina.
Yeah, it. I haven't been down there in a couple years. It looked like it was on the come up. It was making its way back, but they're definitely pricing people out of returning.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
there's
know,
not a house you can get there now less than 600,000.
that is a ludicrous sum of money.
It's ridiculous. It's something that used to be maybe 200 or 250 at the most.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I'm scared that the next time I go back down there, it'll be even more gentrified.
$1 million.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they
Well,
do a lot of filming down there.
yeah. No, it's become it. I mean, are they still doing NCIS or New Orleans? Because I know that was down there, and
And American Horror Story, a couple
yep,
seasons there. Mm-hmm. Well, every time you go down there, you hear about a Hollywood person who lives there. Like Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie were down there for a minute, or
Nicolas Cage was down there for a bit.
mm-hmm.
In between his like bouts of gambling debt.
Right, right.
No
Trent,
offense, Nicolas Cage. It's just the truth.
is it Trent Reznor? I
Yeah,
think yeah.
that's a
Len,
great place for him.
yeah. Lenny Kravitz as well.
Yeah, also great place for Lenny Kravitz. Both
Mm-hmm.
very talented musicians.
Exactly. That's one thing I didn't really get to tap into. I went to a few live performances there, but I didn't really get to tap into that culture too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I hope live concerts come back soon. Live concerts, conferences, and movies. Please return soon.
Yeah. I do miss a lot of those social gatherings, and I'm afraid that some of them aren't going to come back.
Really?
Yeah. Well, it's
Like,
E3, for example, is an excellent candidate for not coming back.
I know.
Because it's like, I mean, as somebody who loves Oh no, both of my hands are gone now.
Oh.
I'm just ahead now. Um, man, that's the Tom. You should probably start getting towards the end of the show, but I gotta finish this thought before I do that. And now I have to like move a lot more with my head since I don't have any hands. Um, yeah, I think E3 is one of the ones that's a big candidate for not coming back because even as somebody who loves the show,
Yeah.
it's expensive. It could be very easily be replaced with just live streams. Uh, you know,
Not the same.
yeah, it doesn't hit. I know it's not the same, but I mean, who really goes to E3? Like I mean, they may as well just like have all the live streams and stuff, and then just have like different parties at various restaurants for everybody just to get together.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
then all the parts of E3 we really love, which is getting to see everybody, would be met, and they'd get to cut costs by not having to pay, the millions and millions of dollars for their booth designs.
I felt like they had a better crowd when they kept it exclusive.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that one too. Like, I'm generally not a huge fan of exclusivity because I think it's it, I think that it can breed some very bad tendencies.
Right.
But at the same time, the point of that show is to give the press the opportunity to get the information out to the players, to give the businesses the opportunity to set their holiday orders,
Exactly.
and yeah, I mean, yeah, PAX is for the players. Oh, fictional cat, really redeeming your points to make me dab when I don't have hands. Kaboom! There you go. Did I just do it with my head, or did I actually move my real arms? I guess you'll never know. But
I
oh,
tell, I tell you one thing. If you consider it, I'd love to come back and update you on my game when I get it rolling.
hell yeah, you are
Yeah.
definitely welcome back.
Okay. Excellent.
I don't think
Well,
any guest is not welcome back yet. I haven't had a bad guest
excellent. Well, I'm working
yet.
on a demo now for Liberte.
Cool. Well, you have my email address.
Yes.
So, well, real quick before we start like the actual process of ending the show, before we get sidetracked on another story,
Right.
where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Twitter at WordSlinger1,
Mm-hmm.
Facebook under my name, Sonya Alexander, or Sonya A2, LinkedIn, Sonya Alexander, Instagram, Sonya A2.
Everybody's on the Instagram these days, and the
I know.
TikTok.
Yeah, I haven't looked at TikTok yet. Have you looked at TikTok? Do you use it?
No,
No.
no. I know some people who do, and I see the content they put out on it, and I'm like, I understand why people like it. I don't
Right.
want to go there.
Right. I'm right with you.
Like Oklahoma. No, they like
Right.
those big wide open plains and stuff.
Hmm.
Well, I'll pass. Not for me.
No.
But well, thank you once again for watch. Steph uses TikTok to watch animal videos from zoos. Okay,
Oh,
that's a
okay.
good use of
Yep.
TikTok.
That is a good use right there. Okay.
Um, but it's been
I,
wonderful having you here. Thank you
yeah,
for like giving me a lot to think about.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I will definitely check out these books you suggested.
Yeah. I pretty much only read science fiction with the exception of like the random like traditional fiction thrown in.
Okay.
But I've talked about it in previous shows, and I'm not gonna get into another story on it now. But the short version is that I really appreciate the freedom that sci-fi has to tackle hard social issues because it hides behind the air quotes safety of science fiction, because then people don't really care about the issues and be like, oh, it's just science fiction and things are just supposed to be kind of weird, like how like Star Trek was pretty ahead of its time by a long way, but people could be like, oh, it's okay, it's just these weirdos in space and onesies, you know.
Okay, I have another book to recommend for you.
Uh
This book by Tom Rees, Reiss,
oh. Okay.
called, called The Black Count. I believe it's a Pulitzer Prize winner. He popped up on Facebook. He hasn't been on there in a while, but it's about Alexander Dumas, father
Okay.
and son.
Cool. I will. I'll write that
Rich.
down. Or more likely, I will message you after the show to ask for a reminder.
Okay.
Do the sci-fi voiceover forever? No, I can't do this forever. It's kind of not fun. Although I guess for you guys, maybe it is. Hey guys, it's that Tom Clancy. Thanks for coming to my show today. I had Sonya Alexander on. She's very nice. Had some fun stories. Uh, I guess it was a pretty fun show. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could, but no. Well, Sonia, thank you again for coming on the show. It was excellent to actually sit down and talk with you, aside from in tweets.
Yes,
Uh,
exactly. Glad we
and
finally connect.
yeah, I mean, it was like 2 weeks in the making, but we got it done.
Yes, I'm glad we did.
Well, now it's the time of the show where I switch back over to this camera angle and I say, thank you all for joining us on the show today, especially my guest. Thank you all for being here. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have the show to begin with. Thank you to Zip Up Yo who for the follow and Steph for the host. Other than that, guys, I guess I'll see you next time on that Tom Clancy show.